Um, well, for me, what I notice is just the most important thing is that a person really loves music. There's lots of ways of going about playing guitar. A person can learn. I strongly recommend learning songs from records, and for me that's how I began, was by learning as much music as I could off of records, and eventually developing a sort of a vocabulary based on the words that I had learned, the musical words that I had learned through learning things on my guitar off of records. It was slow getting into it, but I suppose I started out with things that were more simple, like punk rock and new wave, and I eventually, was moving on to the guitarists of the '60s and progressive rock and art rock and things like that, and to the point now where pretty much anything that I want to know how to play, I can learn how to play it, and it's what keeps me going still. And it's big source of where ideas come from for me. I also think that while a person can definitely go their whole lives without learning theory and things like that, I think that it can be a mind opener, and I think it only closes somebody's mind if they're that type of person. I think if you use theoretical information the same way that jazz musicians like Charles Mingus or John Coltrane or people like that use it, a lot of the time you learn rules so you break them with finesse. I'd rather break rules because I have some sort of an interesting way of breaking the rules, rather than break them because I don't know what I'm doing. For me, I like to see music in terms of color, and to me, understanding theory is just giving names to those colors, and once you've got a grasp on it, you can see all the different ways that you can bend those rules. And so I think it's a big help, and I'm glad that I learned those things when I was a teenager. But it's important to never get caught up in the physical aspects of being a guitarist, because while it's important to get your physical technique together, it's important to understand that this has nothing to do with music, and that music is only the sound of it, and music is not what it looks like when you play it on the guitar. And this is something that I couldn't get through my head when I was a teenager. It wasn't until I was about 20 that I had the realization completely, which people had said to me for years, but it had never really clicked in my head until I remember one day listening to Television's album Marquee Moon, and just realizing that it was the sound of what was coming out that mattered, and that the actual physical things that were taking place on the neck of the guitar had no importance whatsoever. And especially thinking about people like Keith Richards and how effective their playing is and how simple it is, this all clicked and has forever stayed firm in my brain, that it's the colors you create with your instrument that's important, and not physically what you're doing.